All right, everybody, the fourth round of Asian World Cup qualification has concluded, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about my predictions that I did make for it, what actually happened, and the winners and losers, giving all my thoughts on this round of World Cup qualification. And if you're a big fan of Asian football, this is the channel that you need to be at going into the 2026 World Cup. So make sure to subscribe, smash the like button on this video. Let's try to get it over 100 likes, and comment your guys' thoughts on this fourth round of qualification. Were you happy? Were you sad? Were you disappointed? What were your emotions? Let me know your thoughts. So first and foremost, let's talk about where I predicted each national team to finish. In Group A, I had Iraq in first, Saudi Arabia in second, and Indonesia in third. And then in Group B, I had Oman in first, UAE in second, and Qatar in last. I only got 2 of the spots correct, which was Indonesia in Group A finishing in third place, and UAE finishing in second in Group B. So I only got 2 out of 6 right, which isn't what I was hoping for, when in reality, the actual finishing standings was in Group A, Qatar finishing in first place, the UAE finishing in second, and Oman finishing in third. Then for Group B, we had Saudi Arabia just barely holding on to first place, then Iraq behind them, and Indonesia in last. I'll first get started on our immediate winners, and of course, they have to be the 2 nations that automatically qualify for the 2026 World Cup, which is Qatar and Saudi Arabia. Both of those national teams I didn't predict to finish first in their group, but they did. They proved me wrong, especially Qatar, and they've booked their ticket to the 2026 World Cup, so they have to be our automatic winners for this video. We'll first start with Qatar. I had a lot of doubts for them in this group, especially with how their first match went against Oman. Oman grinded out a draw against them, and I would argue looked like the better team against Qatar. So I thought, okay, here we go again. Qatar not reaching expectations. Lopetegui, he's been up and down. But the one man I didn't factor in to Qatar's possible success was Akram Afif, because he said, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to take the country on my back and I'm going to drag Qatar to the 2026 World Cup, because that's what he did. He has been the sole and only reason Qatar have played well in qualifying up to this point. Getting 2 assists in the match against UAE, where they had to go out and win that game and all UAE needed was a draw. He had 2 brilliant set pieces that got Qatar that win. This is the first time the Qatari national team has ever qualified for a World Cup, as in the last World Cup, they were the host nation, so they automatically qualified. So Lopetegui has secured his job to the World Cup. Can he work his magic with Qatar? Can they build something? Could they have a dark horse run? I don't think so. Then for Saudi Arabia, I was really hoping they wouldn't automatically qualify, because I wanted to see Hervé Renard maybe get fired, let go, part ways, whatever may have happened, so that maybe Iran could have snatched him up and brought him to the national team. But Renard keeps on proving my point on why I think he is such a great coach. He was able to get Saudi Arabia, who were in a dire position back in the previous round of qualification under Mancini, back to World Cup glory, and has qualified them for the World Cup. I definitely don't think both of their matches were that pretty. The match against Indonesia was just a boxing match, blow for blow, like I predicted. And the one against Iraq, I do think they were the better team, but they had to grind that result, and just narrowly, by the skin of their teeth, were able to qualify. This would be Hervé Renard's 2nd World Cup with Saudi Arabia, so big ups to him. He is ingraining himself as a Saudi Arabian legend of a coach for this national team. I would have loved if he became Iran's national team coach, but he did the business for Saudi Arabia, and they're heading to the World Cup. Then for our biggest losers, of course, it's going to be the 4 national teams that didn't automatically qualify, because I think in reality, all 4 national teams could have finished in first place in their groups. That's how even I felt each national team was to each other. But in my opinion, I think my biggest loser from all the national teams has to be Iraq, because they got themselves 4 points. That is usually enough to get yourself top of the group in this type of situation. But it wasn't enough because they didn't score enough goals. It was just so heartbreaking for me to watch, because I was rooting for the Iraqi national team in these matches. I've been praising them throughout the 3rd round of qualification. I had high hopes for them here. I thought because they had blood on their hands, they knew they should have automatically qualified in the previous round, but Jordan took their spot, that they need to come out and top this group and book their ticket for the 2026 World Cup. But yet again, they just fell short. Yes, in their match against Indonesia, they got the win, but they could have won that game by more goals if they really took it to Indonesia. And in the match against Saudi Arabia, they just didn't have that firepower, that oomph, that go-getter mentality and tactics to go out there and take it to Saudi Arabia. They didn't really create many or any clear-cut chances. Unlike Saudi Arabia, who if there was a team that was going to win that game and deserved to win that game, it was them. In my opinion, Graham Arnold, just haram, unk-style football tactics. There was a reason why Australia had to let him go. And I think that is what let down Iraq in their 2 matches. Yes, they were unlucky, but within the tangibles, within their own hands, they could have taken the game more to Indonesia and to Saudi Arabia to surefire themselves and get that first place spot, but they weren't able to do that. So for me, they have to be the biggest losers, and it's just so unfortunate. I'm just so disappointed because I really want to see Iraq qualify for this World Cup. They have so much good talent. We saw Zidane Iqbal come up big for them in the match against Indonesia. They have so many other great players. I just feel like Graham Arnold is holding them back, not letting these attacking talents flourish and let themselves blossom. So we'll just have to see what happens in that 5th round of qualification for them. And then for the other national teams, UAE, Oman, Indonesia. I think UAE, the thing that's disappointing for them is in the previous round, in round 3, they waxed Qatar multiple times. So for the fact in the game that they only needed a draw in, they weren't able to clutch up and automatically book their ticket to the World Cup. That's probably the disappointing part for them. But honestly, they didn't really play that well in the game. They only looked half decent once Qatar got that red card near the 90th minute. Oman, I thought the Carlos Queiroz effect was going to make a big difference. I mean, they started off strong. They got that draw against Qatar and looked like the better team, but unfortunately, they weren't able to clutch up in the end against the UAE. They scored 2 late goals on Oman and crushed Oman fans' hearts and mine. And Carlos Queiroz, I just wanted to see my GOAT manager do it one more time, just one last race, but he wasn't able to do it. Indonesia, I did predict them to finish in last. I do think they played very well. They had spirited performances both against Saudi Arabia, Iraq, but as I said, I just think it's due to that inexperience. They were leaking in too many goals, weren't solidified in the back, and I just think that coaching change of bringing in Kluivert, an inexperienced coach, yes, an iconic footballer in his day, really just cost Indonesia. You could tell that they were out of their depths, not only for the players because they've never been in this position, but for Kluivert as a manager to set up his team tactically and diligently, to not leak so many goals, to be cutthroat with their offensive opportunities. That's what let Indonesia down. That was my one prediction I hoped I was wrong with, where maybe Indonesia would have that dark horse run in these matches. But that was one of 2 spots that I actually predicted right. So I think that's super unfortunate for Indonesia, but for all the Indonesian fans watching, this was great experience for you guys. I'm so confident come the next World Cup cycle, going into 2030, you guys will qualify for the World Cup. Sometimes you just got to take 2 steps back to go 1 step forward, and I think the Indonesian national team will learn and will make it happen. So to conclude the video, I felt we should talk about the 5th round of qualification, which will feature the UAE facing off against Iraq, and they will face off in a 2-legged playoff match to see who can qualify for the intercontinental playoffs. So it's a long journey for both of those national teams, and whichever one ends up advancing. In my opinion, Iraq has to win this playoff tie. I mean, they have had so many shortcomings in this qualification, and I think it would be so sweet for the Iraqi fans, for the players, for just the whole country to get themselves into the intercontinental playoffs, qualify for the World Cup. Yes, they did it the hardest way possible, but this national team deserves a chance in 2026. This group of players, these fans, I just feel for you guys very, very deeply. I know Iran, Iraq, you were supposed to have that beef, but you know what? I'm setting that aside. I'm rooting for you guys in this. And I would say you guys are the favorites going into the matches against UAE. Yes, UAE is not going to be a straightforward 2-legged tie, especially for it being a home and away style match. I think it's going to make things tricky. But Graham Arnold, let these players spread their wings. Let them be more offensive. I'm not saying don't have the defensive structure, but let your offense flourish a little bit. Let them do their thing. Let them cook. And of course, I will do a more in-depth video probably talking about this match, or maybe I'll just do a short, who knows, but I will definitely talk about this 5th round 2-legged match between Iraq and UAE. But boys and girls, my opinion only matters so much. Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments down below. Again, big congrats to Saudi Arabia, Qatar for qualifying for the World Cup. Let me know what your guys' thoughts were in the comments down below on the matches. Were you guys happy? Were you guys sad? What are your guys' expectations going into the 5th round of qualification for UAE and Iraq? Don't forget to smash the like button on this video. Let's try to get this video to over like 100 likes. I know you guys can do it. And as I always say, if you guys are a big fan of Asian football content, this is the channel that you need to be at going into the 2026 World Cup, so make sure to subscribe. And if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to check out this video next, where I talked about Asia's big 5 national teams and their best World Cup runs. And then click over here as I post content weekly on the channel and you don't want to miss it. But boys and girls, I hope you'll have a lovely day.